Famous people who went from riches to rags. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Screenie. Becoming famous overnight and getting used to the nicer things in life often leads to a disastrous spending spree. A couple of celebrities took things to a whole new level and squandered away more money than most people see in a lifetime. They spent so much cash that they could put the King of Arabia to shame, and some of it wasn't even used to finance their lavish lifestyle. Divorce settlements, bad deals, lawsuits, and loans also led to a downfall of some of our favorite celebs, who had to declare bankruptcy after going completely broke. Let's take a look at famous people who went from riches to rags. And do remember to press the subscribe button so you could catch up on more fun facts about your favorite Hollywood stars. Number 9. Nicolas Cage. Being one of Hollywood's highest paid actors doesn't mean you can't go broke, especially if your name happens to be Nicolas Cage. The national treasure star has the most bizarre spending habits, and wasting away millions of useless crap feels like taking candy from a baby on this case. Cage blamed his financial advisor for sending him down a path towards financial ruin, but one look at his crazy shopping list proves he's not the one to blame. That didn't stop this Oscar winner for suing him for fraud and negligence after the IRS started knocking on his door with a $6 million tax penalty. The list of things Cage bought with his $150 million fortune includes 2 Bahamian islands, 15 homes around the world, 2 European castles, a haunted house in New Orleans, and several luxury yachts. He also purchased a bunch of exotic animals, dinosaur skulls, and shrunken pygmy heads no one in their right mind would want anywhere near them. No wonder why he accepted every role that came his way, since he'd never be able to afford all of this otherwise. Number 8. Michael Jackson. The king of pop made more money than anyone can count, but he reportedly was on the verge of bankruptcy before his death. This news doesn't come as a surprise if you take his lavish lifestyle into consideration. His infamous Neverland Ranch came with a price tag of $17 million, and he needed around $5 million for annual maintenance costs. Jackson also spent an enormous amount of money on Bentleys, antiques, art, clothes, chimpanzees, diamond-encrusted gloves, and other trinkets. Dealing with legal troubles also cost him tens of millions of dollars. Settling a child molestation lawsuit set him back by about $20 million, and he also had to pay out $12 million for a divorce settlement to his baby mama, Debbie Rowe. Jackson had set aside $5 million in annual interest payments on his debts after taking a huge loan. That still wasn't enough to cover them all, and the Thriller singer was essentially $500 million in debt at the time of his death in 2009. Executors of Jackson's estate somehow managed to pay back his loan and make a profit in the years to come. They sold his future music rights to Sony, released a profitable concert movie, This Is It, and accepted several lucrative endorsement deals afterwards. Number 7. Burt Reynolds. Smokey and the Bandit was such a big hit that every studio in Hollywood wanted Burt Reynolds in their next movie, and they were willing to pay the price. He was the highest paid actor in the world from 1978 to 1982. This American icon spent lavishly at the height of his fame, and that eventually led to his downfall. He had several luxurious estates in every corner of the US, and owned a private jet, a helicopter, numerous unique sports cars, and 150 horses. A divorce from Lonnie Anderson cost him a fortune, and so did a couple of failed investments in Florida restaurant chains. He filed for bankruptcy in 1996 after falling into more than $10 million worth of debt. Reynolds managed to avoid financial ruin after the role in Boogie Nights put him back on the map. After that, the calls started pouring in. Did he regret losing a fortune on his over-the-top lifestyle? Not one bit! Reynolds acknowledged the fact he wasted a lot of money because he hadn't watched it, but said he'd spend even more if he could. Number 6. Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga's dresses don't come cheap, and she almost lost all of her money because of them back in 2009. The eccentric singer admitted that she was on the brink of bankruptcy after spending a fortune on tour costumes while promoting her album, The Fame Monster. Gaga's unique fashion sense is a part of her charm, and showing up on stage without a daring dress would come as a disappointment for everyone who paid a ticket to see her. That's why investing a lot into her crazy outfits makes sense, but not if you end up losing millions in the process. The weirdest part of the story is the fact that Gaga knew nothing about the extent of her financial problems. After her advisors informed her she went bankrupt after the first extension of the Monster Ball tour, she couldn't believe what her ears were hearing. She had 5 #1 singles and nothing but $3 million worth of debt to show for it. Fortunately, Gaga got back on her feet, since that tour eventually grossed an estimated $227 million from 200 shows, attended by an audience of 2.5 million people. Number 5. 50 Cent. Get Rich or Die Tryin' isn't just the title of 50 Cent's first studio album. It's also his life story. His records were selling like crazy when he burst onto the rap scene back in 2003. But earning millions from sales wasn't enough. He started investing money left and right, and his broad business portfolio included everything from fashion and real estate to health drinks and liquor. He reportedly earned around $100 million from a vitamin water deal alone. So how did 50 Cent go from being one of the wealthiest hip-hop artists to filing for bankruptcy? Bad judgments and lavish lifestyles both played an important role in his downfall. Monthly expenses of $108,000 took a toll on his bank account, and so did the failed business deals he made in the past. He invested $2 million in sleek headphones and was later ordered to pay $17 million to an ex-partner who accused him of stealing his design. 50 Cent also lost $5 million in a privacy lawsuit filed by Lastonia Levittson, all after posting her sex tape online. Number 4. Lindsay Lohan. Roles in The Parent Trap and Freaky Friday put Lindsay Lohan on the map, and she had no trouble securing a huge salary after that. She received $1 million for the role of Katie Haran in the cult teen comedy Mean Girls, but that seems like pocket money in comparison to her future paychecks. She wanted $7.5 million for each movie she starred in the next year or two, and some studios were actually ready to cash out that much. Everything changed after her legal troubles made the headlines and the offers stopped coming in. After her hard partying ways and unreliable reputation led to a decline in mainstream acting roles, Lindsay's bank account took a hit. She spent a fortune on her expensive drug habit and rehab fees that came after it. In 2012, the IRS had seized control of her bank accounts to pay $233,000 she owned in unpaid taxes. It's also been reported that Lohan was kicked out of her apartment in London after she failed to pay $137,000 owed in rent. She went from earning millions to having $800,000 in the bank. Number 3. Mike Tyson. Earning $400 million over the course of 2 decades usually means you're set for life. But not if your name is Mike Tyson. The former heavyweight champion managed to squander a fortune on jewelry, mansions, fast cars and motorcycles, expensive phones, A-list parties, designer cloths, and a pair of Siberian tigers. Tyson was one of the wealthiest athletes in the world at one point in time, but his lavish lifestyle cost him this title. No matter how much he earned, he always managed to spend more, and eventually had to declare bankruptcy in 2002. His boxing success became so lucrative that he felt spending $400,000 a month is totally fine. One of the weirdest things he'd ever bought were 2 pet tigers, worth $140,000. To make things even worse, Iron Mike had to hire a trainer to take care of them and pay him $125,000 per year. At one point, he even bought a $2 million bathtub for his wife, Robin Givens, but their divorce settlement somehow cost him even more. She asked for $10 million after only 1 year of marriage, and that's exactly what she got. Number 2. Debbie Reynolds. The unsinkable Molly Brown may be one of Debbie Reynolds' most iconic characters, but in reality, the Oscar-winning actress sank pretty low. She had a tendency to hand over all of the money over to her husbands, who took advantage of her tender spirit. Her second husband, Harry Carl, reportedly spent around $100 million of her fortune on gambling and bad investments. She was forced to file for bankruptcy after he left her with more than $300 million in debt. Despite the fact most people remember her as one of the biggest stars in Hollywood's golden age, Reynolds had several other ventures on the side. She became the owner of the Clarion Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas and later renamed it the Debbie Reynolds Hollywood Hotel. Opening her own hotel was one of Debbie's biggest dreams, but it quickly turned into a nightmare. She was forced to declare bankruptcy in 1997 and sold the property at auction a year later. Number 1. Elton John. It's no secret Elton John has expensive taste, but spending over $50 million during a 20-month period sounds like too much, even for him. That's exactly what happened back in 2002 when he went broke after going on a crazy spending spree for no reason whatsoever. This happened years before the pop sensation adopted his sons with David Furnish, and it was obvious he wasn't worried about leaving money for his kids. Elton went on the record saying he likes spending money because he has no one to leave it to. All this madness started after 1996 when he signed a $60 million deal with record company Polygram. After that, he just didn't know how to put an end to it. The craziest part is Elton somehow managed to spend around $450,000 on flowers alone. The Rocket Man eventually got back on his feet and became more sensible with money once he started raising a family. Thank you very much for watching today's video. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for more amazing content, and don't forget to check out one of the other 2 videos on your screen.